Hello and welcome. I'm Kim Denyas and I'm a spiritual director in Easton, Pennsylvania. And we're taking a look at some of the passages from the Old Testament or from the Hebrew Bible. And today we're right around Exodus, the 25th to about the 32nd chapter, a little bit into that 32nd chapter. And there's two stories going on here. The first story is Moses and God are up on Mount Sinai, and God is giving to Moses numerous detailed information about a variety of things, from the Ark of the Covenant and what it should look like, to the tabernacle, which will be a tent, to how the oil for the lamp should be from olive oil. This very detailed bits of information we're getting from God. Some of the things that are going to be talked about between God and Moses are the Ten Commandments, also the Sabbath, who should give, and it's all, we're told, written on a what's the word I want? I forgot it. A stone-shaped tablet. That's what I wanted. A stone-shaped tablet written with the finger of God. Meanwhile, down below from Mount Sinai, a very disturbing scene has happened. And before I give you that scene, I want to lift something up to you. The people of Israel have accepted that God is their God. I hope you've accepted that God is your God. And that acceptance has another bit to it, if you will, a kind of a joining of, and that is surrender. I think of it as a wedding invitation. Somebody invites me to their wedding, and I RSVP that I'll be there. And then I am compelled. The invitation kind of changes. I'm compelled to attend. They're planning on me. They're going to have a dinner or snacks or whatever for me. And that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing that the children of Israel have said yes to God. God has chosen them. Their answer is yes, we want to come out of Egypt. And now they're at this bit in the wilderness of surrender. And this very first, I'm going to call it a test, they're going to fail miserably. And I want to lift up some of the things that sound to me like their flesh, their false self, their ego self, and less of their true self. They have long forgotten already. They've not been gone from Egypt very long, but they seem to have forgotten what happened and how they came out of Egypt. So let me get to the story. The story is this. The people of Israel have decided that God is delayed. That's probably the first mistake they make. Who are we, who am I to decide God is delayed when God doesn't function on my timetable? I often think that one of the first lessons that we, or maybe get to learn and relearn, is that God's timetable is not mine. The Bible tells us that God is not human, that God doesn't abide by human laws, and yet over and over I think we tend to expect God to be constricted and defined by human laws. So the first mistake they make is they believe God's delayed. They go to Aaron, the people of Israel, go to Aaron and say, falsely again, that the gods that brought them out of out of Egypt, they want to honor those gods. And so Aaron says, bring me your gold. They melt the gold, they melt the silver, and they form a golden calf. Remember this order, because when Moses comes down, Aaron's going to actually lie about that. We see them seeking to not surrender. Had they surrendered into the waited for Moses to come down with more instruction, basically, this scene wouldn't have happened, and there wouldn't have been the price tag. I think about 3,000 people get killed because of this, if I remember the math correctly or the numbers correctly. I think when we step out of that place of surrender in God, like they did, we get very defensive. We get more ego-driven. We aren't our loving selves. We aren't looking to bring along with us love and mercy and kindness, those types of attributes. Instead, we get into this idea of my way or the highway. And that's where we find the children of Israel, the people of Israel at this junction. They make a golden calf. They worship it. And in the worshiping, there's this incredible conversation between Moses and God where God says to Moses, your people have created a golden image. I think I've added a bit there, but you get the sense of it. God saying, your people. I almost hear that tone of, your people, Moses, right? And Moses, I hear him quietly reflecting back to God. He says a couple sentences, and in the sentence he says, your people. Whose people are they, God? Are they Moses or are they yours? And I think, of course, they are God's people. They are not Moses. But God offers to wipe them out. He calls them stiff-necked. It's the first time maybe he uses that term, and he will use it repeatedly for them, that they are stiff-necked. Boy, aren't we stiff-necked, even as Christians at times, right? My way or the highway kind of religion, my way or no way, and never checking with God. We too can be stiff-necked. So Moses and God have a conversation. Moses changes God's mind about destroying them. Moses reminds God that what he originally intended for this people. They go down. Moses is beyond angry at them. And there is this sense that there must be punishment for this. I think in the Old Testament we will see with great frequency that blood is shed for sin. The number one agreement, if you will, is that between God and this people is love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. And the delay causes them to lose that, causes them to step aside from that, causes them to stop surrendering into, if God is God, I don't have to push this. If God is God, I can wait longer. If God is God, can I rest in that? Sometimes I say, I feel like I'm pushing a river. That's not God's invitation. That's my invitation. So a little different take on this passage in Exodus where Moses and God are figuring out some of the laws and a lack of surrender by the people of Israel. If you find yourself in a time of waiting, keep waiting. Keep waiting. Do what you're supposed to do, but don't push a river. And again, I always end with invite someone into that conversation with you. Invite you and God and perhaps a spiritual director or a beloved friend or a trusted brother and sister in the Lord to say, am I missing something here? I feel like I've waited so long for God. Maybe it's a test. Maybe it's a time of deepening. But I just invite you to notice there and get with someone who can partner with you in God. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that as you've accepted the call of God in your life, that God is God, that you also then continue to surrender into what I think is healing for us. God bless you. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye now.